Open your books to page 1 because it was a long time ago. I'm going to remind you guys, me and Faraz going to take you back on this trip to show you how quick things changed, okay? It was a bright summer, 2014-15. Warriors bursting onto the NBA scene. First year head coach Steve Kerr, led by the babyface assassin, light-skinned killer. At the young age of 26, Steph Curry was taking over in the Bay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And this is fresh off the acquisition of two young players who no one expected to hit the heights that they did in Draymond Green and Klay Thompson. By age 24 for the both of them, 2014-15 season, like my man Ty mentioned, these boys were onto something different. Draymond was a new player archetype, you know what I'm saying? The undersized switchability of a Rodman combined with the defensive instinct and playmaking of Pippen, you know what I'm saying? We got Klay, absolutely the definition, the textbook description of what it means to be a two-way player in the league today. You know what I'm saying? And Ty, a new brand of basketball emerged.
Yes, and was that brand oh so beautiful? Because it only resulted in 67-15 in the regular season with a nice championship cherry on top. And that's how Dub Nation was born.
And man, what a birth it was, man, because they got their championship that season. 5 years, 5 trips to the finals, 3 championships later. A legacy is cemented, man, in a way with a team that we never expected to be able to get it done in the way that they did. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, it was so beautiful. They were changing the way game was played. Free-flowing, unselfish, superstar-led, but still community-driven basketball. It was so beautiful to watch. But at the end, after those 5 trips to the finals, that 5th one was really the bugaboo. It was really what changed the tide and trajectory for Golden State. Because in 2019, they're facing the Raptors, Kawhi Leonard, Spicy P, and the bunch. And KD goes down. Klay goes down. And that injury bug has riddled the Golden State Warriors since that day. To this day!
To this day.
But now, 1,005 days later, the Golden State Big Three reunited.
Reunited, and it feels so good. Or should I say, felt so good. You know what I mean? It was short-lived. You know what I mean? I ain't trying to be the spoiler alert, but regardless, before I go into that, the Golden State Big Three returned. We had Klay, who finally showing shades of what we know him to do. Draymond fresh off the injury, but you know at the end of the day, Draymond comes out to hoop. And Steph Curry, man, you know, he hasn't had his most consistent second half to the season. But at the end of the day, that's still the babyface assassin. We know that this guy can put it up from anywhere on the floor. You know, and we expected them to make a deep championship run until an unfortunate injury to my boy, Steph Curry. Man, it's crazy the timing. It's almost uncanny.
Yeah, because we talked about how long they've waited to share the court once again. And Marcus Smart, loose ball, we know what happened. Was it a dirty play? Was it not? That's his topic for another day. But the result of it, left ankle sprain for Steph Curry. He's going to have to throw another brace on it and get back out there because they're going to need him. Only 13 more games until playoff time, and he is expected to return. So we will be seeing the healthy Big Three. But the NBA that this Big Three is returning to is a lot different than it was back in 2019. I mean, that familiar foe LeBron is no longer a threat. Down there dealing with a whole different set of issues in LA. So there are some new contenders that have emerged for us. Why don't we let them know?
Man, it's been such a crazy last couple of years, man, because the Western Conference, we've known it to be insanely deep. Much better than the Eastern Conference by large margins, by bunches and strides. We know the Eastern Conference has been able to pick up its pace, but in the same token, the ever so tough Western Conference has gotten to a point where it's unbelievable with the emergence of teams like the Suns and the Jazz, and we know the Nuggets, the Mavericks. The Western Conference is deep, man. Many new young faces in the last couple years emerged and cementing their legacies and making their impacts in the league. Now let's talk about the Eastern Conference, arguably the best team when healthy, the Brooklyn Nets. We know them to be able to run through anybody between the firepower you got from Kyrie Irving and one Kevin Durant. You know what I'm saying? So between the Nets, the other Western Conference teams that I mentioned, the Bucks.
Defended champs.
You know?
Yeah. And we're not saying it was a cakewalk when they were walking to the finals, but it's a lot tougher now, right? They got the guy that was on their sidelines, on their bench, in their trenches, helping them in Kevin Durant, now probably their fiercest competitor. So it's going to be a tough road. But still, through all this doubt, Dub Nation seems unfazed. Roll the clip.
Not going to make any bonehead decisions trying to chase the 2 seed. Whether we're 2 seed or 3 seed, we're going to win a championship, so don't really matter.
You're just calling that right now to finish off the post-game interview.
Yeah, I called it months ago.
Yeah, man, you guys heard it first from the mouth of my boy, Draymond Green. And he's confident, man. He's confident. And do I blame him? Not really, because when this Dubs Nation team is at full strength, they're scary, man. This team right here is built for deep runs into the playoffs. And although it's not good to come into the season, especially the back end of the season, coming off injury, or someone like Steph just jumping back into the playoffs fresh off an injury, but at the same time, that gives them an added benefit. They're rested.
Yo, you took the words right out of my mouth, because if there was one person on the roster that could have used the rest, it was Steph. It was the guy that's been there the whole year trying to break records and carry this team on his back. And now it's an unforeseen injury, right? It's unfortunate, but he gets 13 games to heal up, 13 games of rest. He wasn't going to get any other way. And now Draymond and Klay can work a rhythm with the rest of the guys on this roster. They're going to get some time to work out the kinks. And now Steph comes back, right? He's probably shooting better. He's going to feel healthier. You know, an ankle injury doesn't mean he's not going to be form shooting. That guy, you can't keep him away from the gym. So I don't expect him to take a step back. They're going to be clicking. It's not like these guys haven't played together. They've already won 3 championships together. They're not going to need that much time to get back in that form.
If you recall, I believe it was the 15, it could have been the 16 playoffs, where the Warriors played the Pelicans, the Anthony Davis-led Pelicans in the first round, and they swept them. And Steph hit that crazy game-winning shot pretty much in the corner over AD and someone else. If you recall, he had just come fresh off an ankle injury as well, and he wasn't having his most dominating playoffs or finals, but in the moments that you needed him, he was there, and that's due to the rest that he was able to get prior to the playoffs starting, you know?
That's a great point. And man, if you just look at history, when they've won these finals, most of the time Steph really hasn't been at his best. So they're going to need a full team effort. And what better way to get the full team outside of Steph clicking with him on the bench?
Seriously. And I will say this, I think Steph's best finals were pretty amazing, but it was unfortunate that KD was on his team to outperform him because in all the years that Steph was the only guy on that squad or whatever, Steph really didn't play at his best. You know, we have the Andre Iguodala Finals MVP, but I think it was the 2018 championship where they practically swept LeBron. Steph was averaging 30 and 6 on 45-50% shooting.
KD was shocked when he got the MVP.
But that's because KD was averaging 35. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, so 100%, I'm still in agreement on that point, but I just had to shed just a little bit of details in that regard. Now, we talked about Steph. We talked about his injury. We talked about the pros and cons. The next guy up on our list, who at this point, with how long Klay has been out, is arguably the second best player on the squad. That's Draymond Green. And just because he's the second best talent-wise, that doesn't take away from his importance in the role that he plays and the impact that he has on this squad. You want to go into it a little bit?
Yeah, man, the undoubted heart and soul of this Golden State Warriors roster, man. He's the heartbeat of this team, and it's very apparent when he's on versus when he's off. Just look at Steph's numbers when he's on versus off. Look at the team's record when he's on versus off. He's the leader vocally, he's the leader emotionally, and this team goes as he goes. His energy's always up, and that's the big reason why they've always been so good. He takes the ball out of Steph's hand. It does a lot for him when Steph doesn't have to be the main ball handler, right? He's still going to bring the ball up the majority of the time, but Draymond's going to be facilitating, organizing the pin downs, and the leadership is offensive and defensive. He's really found a role, maximized what he could be in the NBA, you know?
Yep, 100%. Now we pose the question, right? Is he the most important player on this Golden State Warriors team?
I'm gonna let you get out that one first.
Yeah, so my thoughts on it, right, is Draymond Green, when you look at the stats, nothing jumps out at you. You know what I mean? His numbers, for the most part, are relatively average. You know what I mean? They could be a little bit above average, but for the most part, his numbers are relatively normal, right? But it's what the numbers don't show that shows the impact of a Draymond Green. It's the ability to be a center and play undersized at the 5 when you have guys who are 5 and 6 inches taller than you. Being able to out rebound squads with 2 guys who are taller than you while you're at the 5. You know what I mean? Being able to also facilitate in that same role, push the edge. You now have your matchup hanging down the other side of the court and you're gone. The importance of your 5 being able to do that, man, it's unparalleled. Now somebody like Steph Curry, he's already, once he steps over half court bringing up the ball, he might get the double team. You know what I mean? Now you have Draymond Green bringing up that ball. Steph's able to kind of run around freely. They can't double team as much. Sure, they can still double team, but you can't send 2 guys chasing him around screens. That's not how it works, And so it frees up their offense to do so much more. And that was the 1-2 punch that we saw earlier in the season. That has nothing to do with Klay being back and healthy. Now there's options. We have Andrew Wiggins, he's also a shooter who can also slash. You know what I mean? He can do a little bit of both. He gives you more options. Now you have their starting lineup is crazy. You know what I mean? If they're fully healthy. So
go ahead.
No, but I say all that to say this. Draymond's role can easily be overshadowed and overlooked by the high power and the flashiness of Klay and Steph's game. You're probably telling me Klay's not flashy. Steph maybe a little bit. But when you're shooting threes like that, you can definitely get overlooked,
Yeah, I mean, you hit it in the head. Another guy, they just got back, Klay Thompson, right? He struggled a little bit early, but has now averaged 20 points in his last 3 games. I think that's the Klay we're going to get for the rest of the season. Klay's importance to this team cannot go under the radar, man. This is a guy that I could see average 25 on another team. This is a guy that's one of the two-way players of a generation. This is a guy that's one of the top 3 shooters of all time.
This is the thing, right? If we talk about not season-long records, but if we talk about individual single-game records, Klay outshines Steph in every single one. Most threes made in a game, most threes made in a quarter, most points made in a quarter, most threes made in a playoff game. Klay literally checks off all of those boxes. So if it wasn't that Steph Curry was in the league at this point in time, we're talking about Klay Thompson being the best shooter of all time, period. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, that's how good and elite this guy is. And what goes unmentioned is the lockdown defense that this guy plays.
Yeah, and we got to give some love to Andrew Wiggins, right? He's their all-star starter, right? He's a big part of this team, too. Andrew, big X factor. Big X factor come playoff time. He's going to have a round where he averages 20 points. There's going to be a playoff round when he does that.
100%. No, I'm with you, and I've always been a big supporter of Andrew Wiggins. I think that given the right system, which we finally saw he's been able to play in with the Warriors, especially, when those guys were out, Andrew Wiggins can be an all-star, and he proved that to us this year. So, we talked about the importance of the guys. We talked about the big 3, the return of them coming back together after 1,005 days. Let's talk about what they can and what they can't do this offseason, right? This playoff season. The Warriors, they start off strong. They're the absolute hottest team out the gates. They started out 18-2. At one point, they were 27-5. Ridiculous, They've calmed down a little bit. Once Steph hit that, he broke that record for most threes in career history. He kind of slowed down a little bit. You could tell, some of the pressure either was on or off. It was off, but I guess he finally just was like, okay, I did what I had to do, back to playing, and he just, he went through a slump, And again, the difference between then and now is they had 2 less All-Stars on the squad. You know what I mean? With the addition of Klay and with Andrew Wiggins getting his All-Star berth.
Draymond was a big part of that too.
Draymond was a huge part of that. You know what I mean? So with that being said, man, you think that they can regain this form? And what do you think they got to do to be able to do that?
Yes, so glad you asked. This is why we're here. This is why we're recording this video, to tell you if we can see Golden State regaining that form and making this run to the finals. That's what Dre's talking about. That's what Klay's talking about. That's what we're talking about right now. All right. And in short, yes, they're definitely capable. They're tested. They can do it. Like you said, 18-2 out the gate, 27-5 in their first 32 games. I think I did that math right. So let's do it. Let's do it by matchup, right? Let's break this down. Currently, as constructed, the Warriors are the 3 seed. Assuming they finish in that spot, their first round matchup will be one of either the Nuggets, Mavs, or T-Wolves. Dub. Nuggets, Jamal Murray just got assigned to the G League, so there's a chance he might be on that Steph Curry timeline and return in time for the playoffs. Michael Porter Jr. as well, but that's not enough time to get the conditioning right. That's not enough time for me to believe that they could beat the Warriors. T-Wolves, just too young. We can't be serious if we're thinking that they have a shot against the Warriors. And the Mavs, as good as Luka is, they are still not a team. Jason Kidd was brought in to try to achieve that, but it's still the Luka show if they want to win games. Yep. And you can do that for 12 minutes, for 24 minutes on a good night, but not for 48 in a 7-game series.
Yep, you said it beautifully. So I'm with you. I think that first round would easily be a dub. You know what I mean? To get out the West, they got to beat these 3 squads. You know what I'm saying? And them being is the Jazz, the Grizzlies, and the Suns. Ty, you want to break that down for us a little bit?
Why not? Let's start with the Jazz, okay? I think this could be a sneaky tough matchup for Golden State, man. Gobert, we know about him, his defensive prowess, but he also eats against Golden State, at least in the regular season. He's averaging 16 points, dominating on the boards. It's been a complete mismatch. They've thrown a lot of undersized lineups at him, and it's not working. So we know Donovan Mitchell, capable of being the best player in this series, I think. I wouldn't put that past him. Yes, his 3-point shot has to be falling, but it's possible. So that in itself is a challenge, not one I think Golden State can't defeat, but it could be tougher than we expect.
For sure. I'm with you on that. And the second team that they might and will probably have to face are the Memphis Grizzlies. This team right here is scary. You know what I mean? If you look at the roster, I think they're still 1 or 2 years away from being real-time contenders. Nice. But at the same time, if you look at Ja Morant, what he's able to do, that ability on its own could be enough to win you 7 games. You know what I mean? Against the Warriors, maybe not, but Ja Morant has been next level this season. Shouts out him. Shouts out my boy Derrick Rose. Guys getting it out the dirt and letting them know, you slept on me, but I'm here to stay. You know what I'm saying?
Facts. I could see Ja having a 50-point game in that series, a 40-point game in that series, and a couple other just crazy performances. But I can't see the Grizzlies pulling that out. Like you said, I think they're a year away. I'm with you on that. And it's their season, man. These Warriors are seasoned. Been there, done that. No chance.
Seriously.
All right. Last team we see as a biggest possible roadblock in the way of the Warriors making their trip to the finals. Phoenix Suns. We know about this group, man. I think the Warriors are the team that's, unfortunately, though, that the Suns do not want to face. Yes, I think the Warriors are the team the Suns don't want to face. Because this is the only team, being the Warriors, that the Suns don't have a 500 or better record against. This is a series where Andrew Wiggins, like I said, could average 20. This is the one I think it happens in. Because Steph and Klay are going to require the 2 best wing defenders. And Andrew's just going to get scraps, right? And then if they try, right, that takes Mikal and Jay, right? Mikal and Jay Crowder are going to take Steph and Klay. And if they decide to put Chris on Steph, which I don't think, CP3 probably want him full go on offense.
8 years ago, CP3 got his ankles broken by Steph. I don't know if that's what you want right there. Like you said, you got to have him focusing on offense. I see them putting Devin Booker on Steph before anyone else.
And then do you think that can compromise him, though? Because Steph knows how to get fouls.
That is true, too. I mean, this is what I feel. I think Devin Booker is a competent enough defender where I feel like the Suns' plan is let Steph eat. But at the end of the day, if Steph scores 50 and Klay and Draymond don't, put up 20 points and, you got what I'm trying to say? They can still win basketball games that way. Now, they know that Steph has been super effective against them. You mentioned it. The Suns have a 500 or better record against every single team in the league except for the Golden State Warriors. So I think you do that, you're able to put now Mikal Bridges and Jay Crowder, size-wise match up a little bit better, And even then, right, so once Devin Booker starts getting cooked, you can start making some switches and stuff like that. But I think to start off the game, I think you do want to keep CP3 kind of free-flowing, but that kind of puts them now on a mismatch on the defensive end for CP3 because he's going to have to now guard a bigger player. So we'll see how they do it. You know what I mean? But
yeah, I mean, you're talking about it. That's just getting me excited right now. That's going to be a good-ass series.
They're almost more than likely going to face each other. I want to say there's practically a 90% chance that they're going to face each other. I want to say it's going to be in the Western Conference Finals if I think how it's going to work out. But at the same time, if they face them in the second round, it's going to be probably one of the better second-round matchups we're going to see probably in the last 10 years.
Yeah. So, all right, we just broke it down. We broke down the West's fiercest competitors, how we see it possibly playing out. Now for us, it's time to give us the predictions. Can you see this bunch this year, the Dub Nation Warriors of 2022, making a run to the finals?
Man, although we talked about it being a benefit to Steph being able to get some rest post-injury, I think the lack of chemistry, I can't say lack of chemistry, but the lack of game time that they've had between the three of them and some of the firepower, like this Suns team is sneaky good, and the chemistry that they have is something we haven't seen in a really long time. So to be quite frank with you, although on paper the Suns don't want to face the Warriors, I don't think the Warriors want to face the Suns. They're young, they can run just like them, they have size down low, which is something that the Warriors don't have. And again, I think that DeAndre Ayton is mobile enough where he can competently guard Draymond Green, you know what I mean? And he's going to be a huge problem on the offensive end. So the way that I really look at it is, man, I think the Warriors are going to face the Suns. I want it to be in the Western Conference Finals. Pretty much whenever the Warriors and Suns meet, I think that's the exit for the Warriors. I believe that they're going to meet in the Western Conference Finals. I think the Suns are on their next trip to the finals. I think this team is too good right now, and they're clicking on all cylinders. CP3 is starving. He's not just hungry. He's starving for a championship. You know what I mean? And the fact that they were right there last year, long story short, I could see this Warriors team winning a championship this year. There's no doubt about it, but everything needs to be a perfect storm. With that being said, my realistic predictions for them, Western Conference Finals exit, something to be proud of after not having your squad together for literally 3 years. And you come back and I see them winning a championship the next year, Like, this team is scary.
Yeah. Damn. I really wanted to say they won it, but you kind of talked me off the ledge right there. I'm with you. I'm really with you. Phoenix is tough, man. Phoenix is tough. They're such a well-built team, and they don't have like 3 superstars like we're used to seeing like win at least before Raptors won it in 19. But they do have just a team with no holes. Like, there's really no holes on that roster, 1 to 10. Monty Williams is a great coach. He's going to have a great game plan for these Warriors. And, yeah, man, I'm with you. But I think they're going to be a fierce competitor. Anyone else is going to be lights out. They'd put the Lake Show out in four games. So I'm with you, man. Y'all heard it here first. They are going to be back, though. It's not going to be long before those Warriors reach the mountaintop once again.
Oh, yeah. I'm with you. And like always, man, shouts out to you guys. Thank you, as always, for rocking with us. You already know we're doing this YouTube thing. Don't forget to check us out. It's Hoop Plug on YouTube, Hoop Plug on Facebook, Hoop_plug_ on the gram. You know what I'm saying? And like always, put some flavor in your ear.